Prove.
Crypto's dead in America.
It is dead in America.
Crypto's dead in America. I mean, now you had Gensler. You had Gensler even blaming the banking crisis on crypto. So the United States authorities have firmly pointed their guns at crypto.
Is it a scapegoat or was it
Wow. That's big news. That's big news. Is crypto really dead in America? That's the big question we're going to be talking about today. Also, on an emergency weekend stream, we're going to be talking about leverage and whether the leverage is flushed out the market, because you will remember that, let me just get your chart. I did say to you at 29,000, I said to you, I don't think it's time to buy because there's still too much leverage in the market. Then the market went down to 28,000. And I said to you, I don't think that it's time to buy because there's still too much leverage. Now we're at 27,280. And I'm saying to you again, I don't think it's time to buy because there's still too much leverage in the market. So eventually it is going to be time to buy. And when it is time to buy, it's going to be a certain number of tokens that are going to go up. And that's really what I wanted to spend some time talking to you about today is let's look at our tokens. Let's see which are the ones that are going to perform better when this recovery does happen. And then let's go all in on those tokens when it's time. But right now, it's not time. And we'll show you when it is time. So listen, it's a weekend stream. I'm here, you here. Let's get the fuck out of bed.
Get the fuck out of bed, bitch, go. Get up, and get the guy go. Time to wake up, bitch, get up. Get up. Get up.
Wakey, rise and shine. It's a Saturday, but if you are here on a Saturday, you need to pat yourself on the back and just let me know that you're present. All right, Gabby the DJ, I know you're here. He says, I called the dump. You're right, I did call the dump. You were here when I called it. Bangkok Dreaming, I see, are you here? Just say present. Jeremy Dawson, if you're here, say present. Marks, if you're here, say present. Actually, Paula, if you're here, say present. We've got Paula with us today driving our Saturday show. Just say present. Listen, I haven't been around for a couple of days, and I just thought, let's do a cool weekend stream. Let's see where we're at in the market. Let's see what caused 𝗕𝗏𝗕𝗏 to say these statements that he said. I don't know if you heard it. You heard it here in the beginning, but I mean, these are big statements. Let me just quickly go back a little bit, so just so you guys can hear it for those who are late for class.
Crypto's dead in America.
It is dead in America.
Crypto's dead in America. I mean, now you had Gensler. You had Gensler even blaming the banking crisis on crypto. So
we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about Bitcoin. And now I've got some new levels. To be honest, I didn't think we'd go as low as 27,000, but we are here because of the leverage. And the problem is the leverage is still here and it's not going anywhere. That's the problem. I'm going to show you the leverage. I'm going to show you where the leverage is coming from. I'm going to show you the indicators that you need to look at to know when this thing is going to turn. Coincidentally, if you look at the chart, this is a very, very, very critical level for the chart. I think a lot of people are downplaying how important this level is, but this level takes us all the way back. This is a resistance that takes us all the way back to December 2020 in the beginning or the peak of a December 2020 bull market. So if you thought that we were going to just shatter this without actually testing it, I think you were delusional. So yeah, that's what we're going to talk about today. So listen, if you're new to the channel, come on, you know what to do. Subscribe to our channel. We are one of the fastest and one of the only channels that's actually growing in the bear market. And that's because we just have the most incredible fam in the world. If you are a subscriber, someone says, fix the audio, mate. What is wrong with the audio? Paula, is everything wrong? Is anything wrong with the audio? Guys, let me know if the audio is good. Let me know. I mean, we're not, obviously don't have the same audio as we always have because I'm using, as you can see, I'm using this kind of mic. But let me just actually get you guys a little bit closer to the mic. How's that? Good? People are asking how my trades are doing. I'll show you the account in a couple of seconds. Audio bad. People say it's fine. Audio is fine. Audio is decent. Audio is bad. Is it too loud, too soft? 1, 2, 1, 2. Let's actually do this and get the audio down. How's that? That should be fine. You should be hearing me fine. Nothing wrong, nothing wrong, nothing wrong. All right, let's go. Let's talk about what's going on today. I will show you my trades. We will be talking about the alts that are strongest against the altcoin pairs, against the Bitcoin pairs. Actually, while we have everybody in the house, I want to remind you of a few things. Number one, and most important, if you are part of the fam, right? So if you are part of the fam and you are in Miami or you're thinking of coming to Miami, there is a referral link below to Bitcoin 2023. I'm going to be there. Sheldon's going to be there. Miles is going to be there. Hustle's going to be there. Fred's going to be there. Paolo's going to be there. Everybody's going to be there. And we're going to have a banter meetup afterwards. If you buy a ticket using this link, not only do you get the cheapest ticket, but you also get free access to the banter meetup. And it's a very small meetup. We can only accommodate 100 people. So sign up. That's the first thing. Second thing, I want to remind you, DJs, that we do have our trading competition. Wrong screen. Here we go. We do have our trading competition. We so far, remember, it's limited to 2,000 people this time. We have 475 participants. The competition starts on Wednesday. If you want to sign up, go and sign up. There is a link below. Here is the link. Anyone can play, but if you want to win the prizes, you got to use a Crypto Banter link. You've already got a Crypto Banter link, so you've already got an account with the Crypto Banter link. Anyone, mine, Sheldon, doesn't matter who it is. Just click onto there, and you are then part of the competition. Sign up. Put $250 in your derivatives account, and let's play. On Wednesday, we start. Remember, I will be funding some accounts here today. So and every day for the next, I'm going to be funding 100 accounts who want to play with us. Alrighty, let's go. That's the formalities out of the way, as they say in the weddings. So now let's get into the party. Where are we? We're here. We're at big support, which then turned into resistance, as you can see. 27,721. As I said, I did say that when we were at 29,000, I said we were going to go down to 28,000. We went down to 28. I said, hope we don't, but we're going to go down to 27. Now we're down to 27. There might be another leg down, and I'm going to show you why there's another leg down. Because even though we have had a massive flush out of leverage, and I want you to see visually what this flush out of leverage looks like. So we had a big flush out of leverage over here. That was the biggest flush out of the year. And then a couple of days later, we flashed out again, and we flashed out again. Now, you can see that this pattern over here is very different from, say, this pattern over here, where you have one big leverage candle. This pattern is much more similar to this leverage flash out over here, and I'll show you in a second what I mean here. Because there's two ways for leverage to bleed out of the market. The first way for leverage to bleed out of the market is like quick. So you have a shock event, bang, the leverage gets taken out. The next way is for leverage to bleed slowly out the market. Now, the problem is with what's happening now is that the leverage is starting to bleed slowly out of the market, which is, it's less pain because Bitcoin didn't go down by 20 or 30%, but it just means that the way that the leverage is going to break you this time around, or those that are over leveraged, is it's going to try and extend them. It's going to try and do like Chinese torture, where they don't hit you once and hit you hard. What they do is they slowly just keep tightening it until eventually you break. So that means that this correction could be quite longer than the other type of correction. But either way, the leverage has got to be flashed out. So I want to show you a few measures over here. You can see that on GMX, the long short leverage, even after all these corrections and everything that's happened, even after all of that, look at that. We still have the longs, which are the greens, right now, max long, which is not a good sign. If you look at the Binance USD perpetuals, this is the Binance USD or USDT. This is Binance USDT perpetuals. This shows you how much the degens are degening on Binance, right? And you can see that we went up to the peak of this year. So we had the most leverage that we had this year. It wasn't a lot of leverage in the big scheme of things, because if you look at last year, this is the price, this is underneath here, this is the leverage. The price, the leverage is at the highest point that it's been at this year. But if you go relative to before FTX, the leverage was much higher. And if you go much further back, I don't even know if we can go that much. No, we can't go that far back. The data doesn't go that far back. But the leverage has been much higher. So yes, we have dropped the leverage, but the leverage is still not at a base level. So if you look at a base level would be somewhere here, like the 84,000, 85,000. we're currently at 102,000. So that is where we're at when it comes to leverage. Jesus, it's boiling in this room. Let me get some aircon going on here. One second. Okay, got aircon going. All right, legends, I've got aircon going. In a second, it's going to start cooling down here. So that is where the leverage is at. Right now, it's not really flashed out. And that's why I saw this Don Crypto, which is he's becoming one of my favorite accounts, actually, because his analysis is actually spot on. What I see, people are saying I'm sweating because of the leverage. It can't be because of the sun that's going on here. But what he says is that we broke the 27.7 resistance level. Now we got the next point down is actually 25,300. Now, if we went down to 25,300, that would be a much more aggressive move down than the move that we've seen already. But I think that might be enough to actually flush out the leverage. So I do unfortunately think that there's another leg down before I actually start buying. But I do think we're actually in a very, very, very healthy uptrend. I think we're in a very, very, very healthy uptrend. I'll show you, because if you compare, if you look at uptrends, and I posted this on Twitter earlier on today. For those who follow my Twitter, you would have seen this. But if you look at uptrends, damn, it's hot in here. Okay, if you look at uptrends, I've given you guys 3 uptrends. The first uptrend was the 2016-2017 uptrend. And you can see we had some big corrections as we made the highs. So Bitcoin went from just under $1,000 and went all the way to $20,000. But you can see that we had some brutal corrections. The first one was 40%, then 34%, then another 34%, then another 38%, then another 40%, another 29%. That's huge, huge, huge drawdowns, right? The average duration of those drawdowns was 21 days. But you can't really compare the 2016 cycle to the later cycles. And the reason why you can't compare the 2016 cycles to the later cycles is because in 2016, there was very little liquidity. Today, we've got a lot more liquidity. Even in today's market, a lot more liquidity. Then you've got, in 2016 and 2017, you never had such a developed perpetuals market. And remember that the liquidations and the leverage is taking place in the perpetuals market. And in 2016 and 2017, you never had such a developed perpetuals market. And so the market, you can't really compare it to 2016 and 2017. So what do you compare it to? Well, one thing you can compare it to is you can compare it to the 2019 bull market. And you can see when we looked at the 2019 bull market that we had quite a few corrections, but the average correction drawdown was much less. So 19%, 12%, 11%, 26%, 18%, and the maximum one is 30%. So what happened here? Again, it was a leverage play. All these leverage had to get flushed out, but the duration of the flush outs actually became less. Why? We were in a raging bull market, no doubt about that. We did keep getting leverage, and the leverage market was a little bit more overdeveloped, and people started to buy up the dips. And then the last bull market that I compared it to was the 2021 bull market, which was the most recent one, which is the easiest one to compare it to. Okay, so you look at the easiest one to compare it to. It was the 2021 because we had a very developed derivatives market. We were also in a big uptrend. And so what you saw is you had a 17, a 15, a 10, a 31, a 26, a 17. So what I'm trying to show you is that in these bull markets, the drawdowns or the price coming down is absolutely par for the course. And you cannot expect the market to just go up, and not to actually come down again. Now, let's look at where we are right now. So let's look at where we are relative to the top. So the top, let's call it, was the 19th of April. Now, I know that because that's when Marin gave us her prophecy. So it's actually it was the 15th of April. And we are now down about 12%. So if the dip were to end here, then you could say that this was a dip for ants. If you compare it to, say, for example, the dip that we saw in 2021, 12% would be the second biggest, or the second biggest drawdown, the second smallest drawdown. That's not a real dip, specifically given the speed at which this market went up. And so that's why I'm still not comfortable to say that I think that we've seen the bottom. When I compare previous drawdowns and when I compare and when I look at the leverage, again, I showed you the leverage on Binance. I'll show you the leverage here on CryptoQuant. You can see it's come down, but it's still, you know, the base, it's still a much higher base. Let me show you this a bit closer. It just gives you a much better, you see, we have come down, but we're not completely reset. So is it time to start buying? I don't think so. I don't know if it's time to start buying just yet. I'm waiting for probably the 25.7. We'll reevaluate when we get to the 25.7, maybe 26,000 level. We'll check the leverage. If the leverage has decreased, then great. We'll start buying. If not, then well, we'll wait until the leverage actually does go down, because this is just an ordinary leverage flush out. And again, I'm fully convinced that we are following the 2019 trajectory. In fact, I actually think I saw this over here. So this is the fractal from 2019. So that's the 2019 fractal. And sorry, this is here is the 2019-2020 fractal. And then this is the 2020-2021, and this is where we are now. So again, you can see same thing over here. Over leverage, bang, come down, go up. Here again, over leverage, bang, touch the line, go up. Let me actually show you something quite interesting, which I saw earlier. If we go back, and let's go back to beginning 2020, and just look at the blue line at the bottom is the leverage ratio. Now just look at when the corrections come. The corrections don't come when the leverage is low. So like take this for example. Leverage goes up like crazy, and then bang, we correct. And then here, leverage starts to go up with the price, get to here, bang, correct. You can probably see that better over there. So every time the leverage goes out, it's going to get flushed out. There's nothing you can do. That's just the cycle. There's nothing broken in the cycle. Everything is intact. Global liquidity is increasing. There's nothing fundamentally wrong as it stands right now. Yes, you do, of course, have the Mt. Gox coins, which are starting to hit the market. But just like the ETH Shanghai event, I think that those were already priced into the price. So I think sit back. Let's wait. Let's look for the average number of days, as you can see here. The average number of I look very much in the light. Okay. The average number of days here, as you can see, was about 12 days. We started going down, caught it on the 15th. So that means that at the end of April, we could probably see things turning around. Here it was about 12 days as well, and here it was a bit longer. So let's say give it 2 to 3 weeks before the market recovers. And I think that that's exactly what's gonna land up playing now. Now I see a lot of you in the chat talking about Altseason, and I think that you guys have got this all wrong, because I think what you believe in Altseason is when alts just go crazy and everything just goes up. And you know, sometimes you're right, but an Altseason is a season where the altcoins outperform Bitcoin. That's basically what Altseason is. Now, the most reliable measure of if altcoins are outperforming Bitcoin is the Bitcoin dominance. And if I look at the Bitcoin dominance, even though the market is going down, you can see that the dominance has gone from 49%, and the dominance is actually dropping. The dominance is actually at 47.12%. At the beginning of this correction, the dominance was at about 48%, 47.75%. So people that are saying it's Bitcoin season now, you're wrong. You're not seeing that even though Bitcoin is going down, the altcoins are going down, but the altcoins are going down less on a relative liquidity point of view. So it's still alt season, and it is alt season until the Bitcoin dominance changes. And as I said to you many times this week, I look at this resistance line over here, and you can kind of see that when you look at this line over here, you can see that Bitcoin keeps trying to break this, or the dominance keeps trying to break this 49% level. When it breaks the 49% level, let's have a different discussion. But until then, for me, this chart is showing me that it's alt season. And someone says in the comments that it's meme season. And I think you're right. I think meme season is the ultimate in alt season. And if you doubt what I'm saying now, what I think you should do is go to the bubbles. Let me show you something. So if you go to crypto bubbles and you go to this setting over here, so you click this setting, and you change the currency. Instead of USD, you change it to BTC. So now you're viewing all the coins against Bitcoin. And then just take the month and look at the tokens that have performed or outperformed against Bitcoin. So Injective is 74.8%. In the last month, Injective has outperformed Bitcoin by 75%. Casper has outperformed Bitcoin by 51.5%. Radix has outperformed Bitcoin by 114% in the last month. Render outperformed Bitcoin by 28.9%. Yes, if you look at them on the 1-day chart, maybe it's not the same picture, but take the last month. And for those of you who are arguing that it's not actually alt season, well, look at these alts and how these alts have outperformed Bitcoin. I think what we'll do is later in the show, we'll actually look at a whole lot of altcoins that we think may outperform Bitcoin, because those are the ones that you kind of want to be buying. There's a whole lot of coins which have gone up quickly. They've gone down quickly because they went up quickly. But if the market recovers, and you believe that the market is going to recover, like I believe the market's going to recover, at some point you want to start buying those coins. But what are those coins? So that's what we should look at. So I'll show you one example of one that's been amazing today. Let's quickly go and look at the Arbitrum BTC pair. So ARB versus BTC on Binance. Okay, so actually you can't see it on that chart. Let's just go to Arbitrum and you can have a look at. Let's see. Okay, let's see if we can get it there. Okay, so Arbitrum in the last couple of days has certainly outperformed Bitcoin. Today not, but if you look in general how Arbitrum done, it has outperformed Bitcoin. So you want to be looking at which of these tokens are actually going to be outperforming Bitcoin, because those are probably going to be your star performers. So that's what we'll go through later in the show. But before we get there, I do want to go through the big scary thumbnail that we had, and this one, which was not something that I actually spoke about. It's actually something that 𝗕𝗬𝗕𝗏 said. He said it's the end of crypto in America. He said crypto is actually dead in the United States. Is he right? Is crypto actually dead in the United States? Well, let's look at what they said about why crypto is dead. For those of you who've just joined, first of all, say present. Second of all, like this content. Of course, then subscribe to the channel. But let's quickly listen to this one last time and actually listen to all the things that they brought up and dissect them, because there's a lot of pearls here which show how the biggest billionaires are actually thinking about crypto in America, like 𝗕𝗏𝗕𝗏, Calicanis, Friedberg and Sachs. I mean, these guys are big investors, and they were early in Solana, and they were investors in multi-coin capital. But this is how they are seeing crypto right now in the United States. So
it's dead in America.
It is dead in America.
Crypto's dead in America. I mean, now you had Gensler. You had Gensler even blaming the banking crisis on crypto. So the United States authorities have firmly pointed their guns at crypto.
Is it a scapegoat, or was it a fuck around, find out moment for crypto in your mind, or a little bit of both?
I don't know. I just think that they were probably the ones that were the most threatening to the establishment.
Okay.
And they were the ones that, in fairness to the regulators, did push the boundaries more than any other sector of the startup economy. And yeah, so now they're paying the price for that.
So he's saying that crypto was the reason why we are where we are, is because we actually did so much bad shit that the regulators said, well, okay, now they pushed you out. So almost like a punishment for all the things that happened in the past. The regulators are now pushing
you out. Come due for them.
Sachs, is it a fuck around, find out moment? Is it protecting the American dollar, somewhere in between? Or incompetence on regulators' part?
The more I think about it, the more I think it's probably not a coincidence that you're seeing all these concerns about de-dollarization at the same time they're cracking down on crypto. So look, there were a bunch of crypto companies that might have done shady things, but I think we all agree that Coinbase was not one of them. Coinbase was the gold standard in terms of doing everything right. And they've just asked over and over again for a regulatory framework. They're just like, tell us how to operate and we'll do it. So I think 𝗕𝗏𝗕𝗏 is right that they're effectively banning crypto in the United States. They're going to drive all these companies overseas, which is terrible for American innovation. I don't know exactly where blockchain and crypto are going to go from here, but I think that we should find that out in America. You know, we don't want that innovation going offshore.
You bring up a really good point too. It's just like Coinbase played by the rules, stood in line, tried to do the right things, it seems, at every step along the way, right? Everything from board composition to executive composition to how they try to interact with the regulators. Yet they were probably the furthest away from getting a license. The one that came the closest was the one that was the most fraudulent, which is FTX.
Yeah, it was fascinating.
True story.
How is that even possible?
I mean,
because he had skills in gaming the system.
Yeah, he's 𝗲𝗍𝗫𝗃.
Well, he ponied up.
Remember what Sam Bankman-Fried actually said back then. He said, actually, Dave says a
large amounts of money because it wasn't his money, so it was easy for him to make huge donations. But he knew how to play the game. To quote SBF, he said, "This is the dumb game we woke Westerners play. We say the right 𝗕𝗚𝗕𝗄 so everyone likes us." That's the game he was playing,
there we go.
Which is my whole concern about if we jump the gun on regulating AI too quickly, it'll turn into another, woke game that everyone's going to play. So
here's how the world works. Regulate yourself, behave yourself, act in the interest of consumers, or get regulated or smashed. And I think we've gone over this. We talked about it, in fact, last week. Whether the movie industry, crypto, AI, regulate yourself, behave properly. Don't push the boundaries too far. You can bend the rules, but you don't want to break them.
I think the regulate yourself. You use the MPAA. I don't.
So I mean, it's impossible to regulate yourself because we did try to regulate ourselves, and when we did, even the best companies in the world. I mean, Coinbase did their best to regulate themselves. They were slow to list altcoins. They slowed down their business. If you look at Coinbase and you look at Binance, Coinbase and Binance started exactly the same time. In fact, I think maybe even Coinbase started earlier. Coinbase tried to go the route of following all the laws, and Binance was, look, we'll be offshore, we won't be in the United States, and we will try and we'll list all the coins early and whatever else. A couple of years later, Binance is much, 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 much bigger than Coinbase, and that's one of the reasons. And now the American exchanges, Coinbase and the others, are now finally getting to a point where they're saying, look, why do we need to remain in the United States? Of course, we want access to the market, but we can't get an ETF. We can't get derivative licenses. If you live in the United States, there's not a single company in the United States that has a crypto derivatives license, which means that Americans can't actually trade crypto derivatives legally. I mean, it's absurd. It's absurd to think that the biggest economy in the world cannot trade crypto derivatives legally. And so what these guys are doing is they're starting to go offshore. So we got news this week that Coinbase went to Bermuda to get a license to launch an offshore crypto exchange. Now, the difference between this exchange and the other Coinbase exchange, or the American Coinbase exchange, is that this one is actually going to do derivatives. And derivatives are where the exchanges make most of their money. Okay, so this one will actually do derivatives. They're not the only ones. So you've got Gemini. So Bittrex, remember, Bittrex came out this week and said, okay, the SEC is going against us. We're leaving the United States. And they've basically decided to exit the United States. Gemini introduces the Gemini Foundation, a non-US crypto derivatives platform. So what they're saying is, we've got two options. We can either decide to stay in the United States. And if we do, then we've got to contest with Gary Gensler. We've got to go through these huge legal battles, which cost. I mean, you think about the way that the US laws are structured, the costs of defending against the SEC are huge. The SEC has a bottomless pit of taxpayer money. So if you're a US taxpayer, you're paying for the SEC to be able to sue Coinbase so that you can be protected. And how do they protect you? By saying that you cannot participate in crypto. Because if you do, you got a problem. Now, I heard something yesterday, which was quite eye-opening for me. I didn't see it like this, but Laura Shin, who's a friend of mine, did an interview with a lawyer. And he explained why it is that he thinks Gary Gensler is where he is. It's a fascinating argument. Listen to the argument, and you may realize that Gary Gensler is in a much bigger hole than we actually think. So just listen to this.
Very, silly analogy, right? If DeFi protocols are just, they're fruits, like they're apples, they're bananas, they've got their one thing that they do. It's an apple. You can eat it. That's what you can do. And, the SEC's exchange rules are basically mandating that all fruits should be mammals, should be bears. And, the apple can't be. It just can't be. It doesn't work. So we're going to have some enforcement actions against Apple's, blaming them for not being bears. And it doesn't make any sense to do that. I think what we're giving up is the idea that DeFi can work in principle at all. The SEC operates through intermediaries, right? When we talked before about,
but I think this may have been the wrong one. Let's just quickly have a look here. I think it's this one. Here we go. This is the one. Sorry, guys. This is the right one.
Yes, to me. But even if it were, look, ETH isn't a security. It's frankly pretty obvious to me. But even if it were, it's too late to do anything about it at this point, right? The SEC has statutes of limitations. ETH was first issued before 5 years ago. So there's really very little that the SEC could do about that right now. Now, statute of limitations is a very complicated thing, so there's a lot of asterisks there. We won't get into that here. But I think that Chair Gensler is facing an uncomfortable reality.
This is the part.
Even if you,
this is the most important part. He says Chair Gensler is facing a conundrum.
Wanted to do something about it. There's nothing he could do about it. And he knows that if he's caught in a sort of trap there, if he declares, yes, I think ETH is a security, it could have all sorts of terrible knock-on effects in the market and would really have a devastating effect on the consumers that he's purporting to try to protect. On the other hand, if he said, well, ETH is not a security, then you'd have 100,000 crypto projects saying, we're just like ETH. What's the problem here? So he's caught in this very uncomfortable position where he doesn't want to say anything. But of course, if you have the chair of the SEC who can't even tell us a basic thing like whether ETH is a security, and then in the same breath tell us, but everything in crypto is very clear. The rules are very clear. The guidelines are very clear. It just comes off as nonsense to everyone else who's listening to that.
If you enjoyed this clip, watch the full episode.
So that's
now
that's from Laura Shin. But there is a conundrum that Gary Gensler is actually in, because, as he said, if he says, okay, well, ETH's a security, then the problem is he's going to destroy millions of US investors, and that's not good. And I think for that he actually cares, because I think that right now, he's throwing punches. But if he says that ETH's a security, then that's like a killer blow. Then if he says it's not a security, then all the projects are going to say, well, listen, we're the same as ETH. We're decentralized, we have a foundation, and they're all going to model around ETH. And then he's got a whole lot of crypto assets that he doesn't actually want. That's pretty much what he says. And I guess what they're doing is they're really driving companies out of the US. And now this migration is actually happening. So it's like, we keep talking about de-dollarization. And de-dollarization is something that we've been speaking about for a long time, but it takes years to happen. The same thing here. They've put so much pressure on the United States, on the operators in the United States, that actually they're now at a point where they're saying, you know what, we'll just leave. We'll just go and do this somewhere else. And I don't know if you guys were here yesterday, but we had Raffle Paul on the show yesterday. And one of the things that they said yesterday was, this is not the first time that it's happened. It happened with credit derivatives a long time ago. And the US was slow and bad to regulate. And you know what happened? People just went to London. I actually want to play you the clip. I think it's, let's have a look here. I think it's about 50. Let me just find the actual clip for you. I think it's 5340. Let's quickly go there and find it for you at 5340. For those of you who were here, you'll probably remember it. It was quite a good show, but Dan kept having sound issues. I don't know if you guys heard it. It was killing my ears, killing me. So listen to this.
This in our career, when we both were in the career, London was the centre.
Yeah.
All the banks were in London. Goldman Sachs, yes, it's a US company, but its main office was London. You would be in London all the time, this little island in the middle of the North Sea, but we all ended up there because the US was restrictive on its ability for people to do stuff. So the hedge fund industry, the derivative industry, the FX industry, the Eurodollar industry, all the biggest industries in finance were all in London. And it seems like London's in with a chance here as well, which is serious because Coinbase can easily move to London.
And also recently that in the next 6 to 9 months, and I've heard whispers too about that behind the scenes.
So London was actually nothing. London wasn't a financial hub a long time ago, but because the US was bad in regulating, that gave London a springboard to become what London is today, which is a financial hub. And right now we are seeing many countries, small territories, that are trying to arbitrage and saying, okay, well, if the US is not going to be good for crypto, we are going to be good for crypto. One of them, of course, is Hong Kong. We know Hong Kong is maybe China's play to say, you know what, if the US doesn't want this money, we'll take it. We'll do banking. We will invite crypto companies here. We'll make it legal. We did see a lot of headlines to that effect. I think I've got some of them somewhere over here. But I think we did speak about them a lot. And I think you guys, here we go. Hong Kong recognizes currency as property. They're coming out with regulation. Europe came out this week with unified crypto laws, which was, again, maybe we don't want laws, but at least it's better to have clarity and know how to operate than not. And that's what the US is not actually willing to do. And big companies like Coinbase, this is what they're seeing. So when Brian Armstrong was in the UK, he said, great meeting with the UK Economic Secretary and City Minister. The UK is moving fast on sensible regulation to drive both economic growth and consumer protection. Excited to keep investing in the UK. When Brian Armstrong went to the SEC, now have a look at this. This is April 21, and this was April 17. So 4 days apart. He comes out positive in the UK. When he comes to meeting with the SEC, he says, met with the SEC today, we'll continue pushing for a clear rule book in the US in crypto regs. The US can't afford to fall behind this important technology to update the financial system. Also important for regulators to set policy and then enforce it, not start with enforcement before the rules are clear. Now, this is the line that got me, says at this point, it seems like Congress would have to step in. So it's almost like this is a big fight, and it looks like only Congress is going to stop this fight. So I do think that now we're actually starting to see this mass migration. Even the best students, even the best companies, Gemini, the ones that were trying, they got a bit license in New York and whatever else, and Coinbase, which has been the poster child, and even Bittrex, which was one of the big behemoths in the US. They're now saying, listen, enough is enough. We're getting out. The US regulators are doing crazy things, and we want to actually forward this. And if it means we have to leave the US for a while, we'll leave the US for a while. And it's upsetting for me because that's what I felt when I was in the US. And that's why I eventually just left the US. I just felt like we couldn't operate as crypto people. And then I thought, like, I have the opportunity to live anywhere I want in the world. Why should I live in a country that is hostile to what I do, that is constantly trying to catch me out and over-enforce what I do? Let me rather go live in a much better country that allows me to do what I want to do. And I can tell you one thing, I'm a million times happier. Ask all the people that are in Dubai. Ask all the crypto bros that are in Dubai. Ask them how they feel about living in Dubai. A lot of them actually even gave up the US passport. So pretty sad what this administration is doing. I mean, they also, I saw this today. Now, this to me is the height of stupidity. Okay, so the Biden administration introduces a rule to punish home buyers with good credit. What they're saying is that if you have good credit, you're going to get a higher rate on your mortgage than a person who has bad credit, because they're going to use the good credit payers to fund the bad credit payers. It is ludicrous. I cannot believe that this is happening, but it seems that this administration is just wanting to self-destruct.
Without any vote in Congress, the Biden administration has just introduced a rule, not a law, a rule that will punish Americans who've tried to do the right thing, punish people with high credit scores. The people with high credit scores will pay higher fees on their mortgage payments to subsidize people who haven't maintained good credit. So these rules take effect on May 1st, whether you like it or not. And they mean that anyone with good credit, that's defined as a score of 680 or above, is going to have to pay roughly $40 a month extra on their mortgage fees than those with lower scores on home loans of around $400,000. So here's an example. If you have a FICO score of 620, you get a 1.75% discount on your mortgage fees. If you have a 740 score, in other words, you pay your bills on time, you've done the right thing, you're a good citizen, you have to pay 1% more. So you don't get a discount for doing the right thing and paying your bills. You get punished. We are incentivizing bad behavior. We're hurting the good people. Since the day you were born, you have been told, pay your debts. It's not your money. You borrowed it from somebody else. You have to pay it back. If you don't, it's stealing. Now we're saying, if you don't steal, we're going to hurt you. And in real life, that means that over the course of a 30-year mortgage for a $400,000 home, that's a swing of more than $14,000. And they're claiming racism to justify this. Black Americans are the only racial.
I mean, this is absolutely. Paula, what do you think of this? I mean, you could say American, right? What do you think of this?
I think it's insane.
It is insane. I mean, it's absolutely insane. But they're doing it. They're doing it. They're saying if you don't pay your mortgage, you're committing a crime by not paying your mortgage. But if you don't, you get a discount. But if you do pay, you have to pay. You have to pay a premium to fund those people. Absolutely, absolutely. You know, I want to tell you a story. When I was in the US, I just sold my business for tens of millions of dollars. Okay, and I wanted to get a credit card. So I went to the bank and I said, "Can I have a credit card?" And bear in mind, my previous credit card, I had a platinum and whatever else. When I went to the US, they said, "No, you can't get a credit card." I said, "Why not?" They said, "You don't have a credit score." I said, "Well, how am I supposed to get a credit score without a credit card?" They said, "No, that's the law. You don't have a credit score, you can't get a credit card." You know how I got a credit card? I mean, and bear in mind, I was a platinum credit card, I was a diamond, Amex, you name it.
Yeah.
You know how I got a credit card? Eventually, the guy phoned me 2 weeks later and he said, "You know what? There's this new credit card for students. And if their parents put $5,000 in the card, they can swipe the card until the $5,000 finished." That's how I got my first credit card in the States. And then I built a credit score and then I could get a credit card. But the laws are so dumb. I mean, I've never heard anything like it. It's unbelievable.
It's pretty much like a secure card or a student card.
Yeah, exactly.
With. Yeah, that's exactly
This is
how I
a guy
started.
who sold this business for tens of millions of dollars. Now, I mean, the business sold for over $100 million. And now I had to use a student credit card that was pre-funded because of this credit score rule in America. Absolutely ridiculous. But it was nice. It was nice pretending I was a student. So, you know, like I just showed one of my student card and said, "Look, you see, I'm a student."
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to put you back in the room. All right, so that's what's going on with the states. Anyway, rant over. I was gonna play you this de-dollarization clip with Trump, but I think we've all heard it.
And if that happens, that's like losing a world war.
You remember we spoke about
China wants to change the standard, the currency standard, and if that happens, that's like losing a world war. We'll be a second-tier country. We'll literally be a second-tier country if that happens. Now you're losing Brazil, you're losing Colombia, South America. You're losing Iran.
Right.
You've lost it.
Man was right.
You've lost Russia.
Man uses a lot of self-turn, but man was right.
And if you haven't lost them yet,
you can say about that. Nothing you can say about that. Nothing you can say about that. And remember, the countries that are moving off the dollar are the BRICS countries, and their GDP is actually increasing while the G7's GDP is decreasing. So pick a side. Which side do you want to be on? Do you want to be on the side that's not supporting crypto? Do you want to be on the side or do you want to be on this side? Or do you want to be on the other side? To be honest, if I'm picking a side, I live in a BRICS country because I left. I was like, I'm not staying in the United States. You got to be crazy to stay in the United States. Anyway, I know this video is going to get banned on YouTube. So just, I don't know, keep liking, subscribing, do what you need to do. Americans specifically, let me know what you think because you're American. You know, I see it one way. Let me know if you see it the same way. Let me know in the comments what you think, whether I'm right or whether I'm wrong. Yeah, I'm not taking a side. I'm not taking the orange man side. I'm not taking the old man side. Same thing. All right, let's talk about Altseason. I know a lot of you are saying it's not Altseason. And I know it doesn't feel like Altseason, but every cycle that we've been in, it didn't feel like Altseason when you got the dips. But remember, the question is not about the dips. The question is what happens when we recover, because rest assured we're going to recover. I showed that to you earlier. It's just a flash out of leverage. So, you know, you start over here, you get the leverage. In fact, let me show it to you here. We just flashed out a bit of leverage. And this is like pretty normal to go up into an upward trend and just keep flashing out leverage along the way. There's nothing wrong with that kind of pattern. The main thing that I'm looking at is I'm looking at the dominance. And for now, if I look at the dominance is telling me that the alts are showing relative strength to Bitcoin, which reminds me very, very, very much of 2020 when the alt season began in 2020. Now, you got to look for the alts that are going to outperform Bitcoin. You got to look for the ones that are quite like an elastic, that you pull them back and then they shoot forward the most. So let's look at the bubbles. In fact, let's look at the bubbles first for the last week, because I don't want to look at it on a day. That's been a crazy day. But you can see that the ones that have come down a lot were the ones that actually, let's even look at the last month. So in the last month, Radix is the best performer, Injective second best performer, Casper third best performer, Casper, the blockchain, fourth best performer in the top 100. Then let's quickly go to the next 100, SXP, Helium, Trader Joe. Trader Joe's down a lot, but up. Actually, let's go to a tweet of mine. I published a tweet earlier today. That was the chart in the tweet. Let's look at who the performers are. So the first one that is performing pretty well is Binance. So relative to Bitcoin, BNB is performing super well. Why is BNB performing super well? Well, the reason why BNB is performing super well is because of the Binance Launchpad. So Binance have a Launchpad. There is a token called Open Campus Education, and that is launching. Now, in order to get tokens from this Launchpad, what you got to do is you got to stake BNB. So what people are doing is they're staking a whole lot of BNB to get the tokens. I mean, you can go and read on Binance Launchpad about how to get it. One of our analysts wrote this for me. Because we're actually going to participate in this. So we're staking our BNB to actually participate in this. But that's why Binance is performing strongly. The other one which is actually performing really well, I saw this actually earlier, is Cardano. So if you look at Cardano, it is also, I think it's outperforming Bitcoin, but let's quickly have a look here. So ADA, BTC, let's quickly just take it on the weekly. Yeah, so if you look at it relative to Bitcoin, now if you look at the trend relative to Bitcoin, just look at that. I mean, it's a pretty cool trend going up here. Not the best chart. I am on a very small laptop screen here. But what you can see is you can see that Cardano is very much in an upward trend against Bitcoin. Let me show you another one, which everyone's saying is I'm pumping my bags. Yeah, I've got a small position. Here it is. You've seen it before. Here it is. I'm 25 grand up on my Arbitrum position. I'm holding it. I might even add to it, but I'm not going to add to it just yet because, I don't think that it's time to be buying. But when we look at this, let's look at this Arbitrum BTC. Let's see if we can actually even get a chart with such history. So you can see that even in the short amount of history that we've got, Arbitrum is another one of these tokens which is outperforming Bitcoin. Let me show you another one which is really outperforming Bitcoin, even though it's probably had a bad day today. So Trader Joe against Bitcoin. Look at that. So in this market, because I think it is a kind of alt season, what you got to be doing is you got to be looking at the performance relative to the Bitcoin pair. If you think Bitcoin's going to recover, what you want to make sure is you want to look at the ones that are going to go up against Bitcoin. What are the tokens that are going to do very well against Bitcoin? Let's look at some of the other ones that are really outperforming. Cardano is outperforming. XRP is actually outperforming Bitcoin as well. Cosmos is outperforming. Now, I did see with Cosmos that actually now Cosmos has a more active developer ecosystem than Ethereum, which is, I mean, that's unheard of. The problem with Cosmos is that by buying the Atom token, you're not actually buying access to the community. So you got to buy other tokens which give you access to this amazing, this amazing developer community. So what are these tokens? So the one that has done very well is Injective. Another one which I have been watching is Astroport. Don't discount Astroport, because remember, Astroport is I won't say founded, but it's seeded by Delphi Digital, and it migrated from the Luna ecosystem, and it's quite a well-funded, well-capitalized project, and hasn't done much. So that's another one which I'm looking at. Kujira, obviously one of our favorites in the Cosmos ecosystem. So Cosmos is definitely one to look at. One thing which confuses me here, and you guys know that we've discussed this a long time. Polkadot and Kusama. Where are these developers? Could somebody tell me where are these active developers? Because I have not seen stuff. I haven't seen stuff coming out. The other sector which is performing really well against Bitcoin is the meme coins. And I mean, today's flavor of the month, good Gensler. Again, I think I think you've missed it. Let's look at our favorite one, 𝗕𝗘𝗏. So 26 cents. This thing is resilient against Bitcoin. So this one has been absolutely unbelievable. 26 cents. Tons of volatility. Like it went down to 13 cents. It's now finding a bit of a range. Even in this correction, these meme coins are still holding a bit. Now, I think that the leverage gets flushed out and the meme coins come down at the same time. So I think the next shakeout shakes out the leverage and actually shakes out the meme coins, and then you know it's actually time to start buying. Chad dying a slow death. People in the office were trading it, dying a slow death. One thing I did read about the meme coins, it could be that they are all actually set up by the same people. And the same people are using the same template just to set up a meme coin. Because remember with a meme coin, you don't need anything. You don't need tech. You don't need anything. You could start a meme coin. Just there's a formula. You find yourself like an icon. In this case, it was a frog or whatever it is, or Gensler. You set up a website and then you build a community. Anybody can do it. And it can be everybody. So the research team is actually just sending me something here. What are they sending me? Let's see. Usually when they send me something, that means that they want me to show it now. Okay, there's a rect. Let's have a look here. They want me to talk about a meme coin called the 𝗕𝗏𝗕𝗏𝗕𝗏 airdrop claim starts. This is for people who I think got Arbitrum airdrops, if I'm not mistaken. 𝗕𝗏𝗕𝗏𝗏. That's the, you can do it. There's a thing. But I think that there is some merit to this article, which basically said that all of these are actually started by the same bunch of people. So he says they were all hosted with different websites. They have an obsession for the number 69,420. So you look at the number of tokens, 69.4 billion. You look at this one here, 42.069. So he sees a whole lot of these meme coins and he finds a whole lot of similarities. And he says, look, they are actually all even launched on Ethereum. He says, look, it could be that the same people are starting these meme coins. So look out for that, because you don't want to be the exit liquidity to these big, I don't know, consortiums. Also, someone says, yeah, 𝗧𝗥69. He's right. What else? What else is there today? Not much. I mean, Larry Fink did sell 7% of his stake in BlackRock, and the last time he sold was actually before COVID. So I wonder if he's trying to tell us something, or whether he's just trying to buy a $329 million apartment or yacht or something somewhere. The other thing which I saw, Telegram users can actually now withdraw Bitcoin from the wallet, which is huge. And then I saw that BitBoy's case has been referred to the FBI by the judge because he didn't attend court because he was in Bahamas and he was posting pictures of being in Bahamas. I mean, I think he's playing with fire. I think it's not necessary. Anyway, listen, that's our Saturday stream for today. We do have some time for Q&A. While you guys are asking questions in the Q&A, remember, a couple of things. One is we do have a new sponsor. Our new sponsor is one that I'm very, very excited about. The last sponsor was Tap Global. We parted ways with them. We have now got a sponsor called Scallop. Scallop do the same thing. They are an on-ramp. They do have a card that you can use. They do also have an amazing feature, which I think is like the future of everything. They're regulated, and it's one account where you have your crypto and your fiat as part of one account. So it's like you get an IBAN number and you have your crypto and your fiat as one account. So this is for me the future. There is a link below. Just go and check it out, sign up, maybe even get yourself a card. But for me, these guys are tops. Now, full disclosure, not only are they our sponsors, but we also invested in them a while back. So we invested in them when they first launched, when they first did the ICO. We were one of the original investors. So we very, very, very close to them. Remember also trading competition. Don't forget trading competition. Let's see how many people. 482 of you have signed up. When there's 2,000, we stop. Anyone can sign up if you want to win the Tesla. You got to be a Banter. You got to have signed up using a Banter link. Doesn't matter which Banter link. There's a link below, but doesn't matter which Banter link. Just sign up using a Banter link. Gareth Soloway is also doing the competition with us this time, so he's bringing his community. It's going to be a lot of fun. Second prize is Rolex. Third prize, $10,000. Someone said, question, why are we checking BitBoy taking off his shirt? Listen, don't shoot the messenger. Don't shoot the messenger. All right. Someone says no card available in the UK. I don't think. Go and check it out. I'm not sure which countries. I mean, there's a lot of countries. I don't know. Did Do Kwon really have a USB stick in his prison wallet? It's what I read. I don't know if it was satire or not. I don't know. I don't know. You let me know what you think. Someone says I'll keep my tap card. Yeah, I'll keep the tap card. We prefer Scallop. That's why we've got Scallop as a new partner. So yeah, we prefer them. What else? Let's quickly just have a look at the bubbles. Let's see that we haven't missed anything on the markets. I don't think we have. I think it's just a normal Saturday. Just a normal Saturday. Nothing. Looks boring as hell out there. Radix in the last month, but let's look at today. Nah. Dull, boring. Damn. Get them to serve the USA. We're all George. No, we're not. We're not all George. Today we're welcome back to Cryptos Are Us. I'm George. We're all George. So today, all right, guys. I'll see you guys again on Monday, unless something happens tomorrow. Until then, Have a great weekend. Stay safe and trade well, my friends.